So Elliot, why did you buy a 2019 Ferrari during the absolute middle of lockdown?
Good question. So I bought my 488 Spider, like you said, in the middle of like the worst part of lockdown, for a couple of reasons. Now, the start of lockdown, I was quite depressed. I was really worried. I've done a video on this before. I'll maybe get Jake to link it or put it in the comments about like the depression I went into over lockdown because I was worried about obviously covering the bills, employees, family, this kind of stuff. Then off the back of that, I set up a few ventures, a couple bombed and a couple that took off really well. And things started to pick up, and my kind of anxiety and depression lessened, which was great. And off the back of that, I have a funny emotional tie to cars and business, where cars have always been like a stepping stone for me, and I've bought them as a way of celebrating certain milestones with my business. Now, I bought the Ferrari for a couple of reasons. One, to get me out of feeling like absolute cack about things, and obviously things were starting to pick up, and it was a bit of a milestone for getting these new things started and getting things going. It's something to look forward to, and it was something to kind of put a bit of pressure on me financially, to remind myself to keep pushing and why I'm doing things, because it was really tough. I was doing 70 hours of calls a week, that's no word of a lie, in my office at home, and I wasn't leaving. I was getting up in the morning doing back-to-back calls. My wife was bringing in coffees. I was chain drinking coffees, doing these calls, sales calls, setting up this new business, doing the mentoring, everything else. It was mad, and that was giving me a little bit of enjoyment, well, a lot of enjoyment actually. Another reason was I got a very good deal on that Ferrari. I have a few friends in the car scene, and I was actually put in contact to one of them from one of my business partners, Dave, and this guy basically was sending me cars to look at, and he's a deal sourcer, and I bought the Ferrari at a ridiculous rate. He sent me it through, and I said, I'm having that, as soon as I saw the spec and the price. And as it turns out, I did extremely well on the Ferrari. So it was an offer that was too good to refuse, as another thing. And lastly, image. Now, for all of you out there, and I've said this so many times, I don't necessarily like the fact that image plays such an important role in someone's decision onto whether or not they're going to hire you. Now, I was stepping more and more into a visual role. I was putting myself more on Instagram, more on social media, more on YouTube. I hired Jake a lot more to start showing my life. And as a result, I needed to show more success, because I am selling success. I'm selling marketing. I am selling a service that promotes building people's businesses. Now, I'm great at doing that, but you have to, part of that is making people believe you can do that. So I knew I could do it, but I had to show people that I could do it. And by showing success, as vulgar as it is, it's fucking super important. Having a nice watch, driving a nice car goes a very long way in showing people that you are able to help them, rightly or wrongly, it works. So that was another variable, although not the biggest variable for me. I buy cars more for me. Things like watches maybe a little bit more for other people, but definitely cars is much more for me, and I don't do it for other people, but it certainly helps. That was another influencing factor in me buying that Ferrari during the middle of lockdown. And no one was buying Ferraris in lockdown, so it was a bit of a statement, which paid off. So to answer your question, Jake, why did I buy a £200,000 Ferrari during lockdown? That's my justification for it, rightly or wrongly. It paid off. Did very well out of the car. And I had a great time in it, but it will be being upgraded very soon with another one for other reasons. But like I said, my emotional attachment to cars is I buy them as a tap on the back for doing certain things in business, and I won't buy them until I hit certain goals. So it's not a great investment by any means. It's not a smart move necessarily. There's definitely better ways you can spend your money, I would say. But for me, it was important. And also, I like to live my life. I'm a very serious person. I live a very stressful lifestyle. I don't do a lot, and I don't have a tremendous amount of fun in my life because I'm working a lot. So for me, that's my release, that's my little vice, and I love doing it. And that's my justification. I don't need to justify it. I loved it, but was my thought processes in going to buy that car.
Yeah.